I'm Alice.
And I'm Brett.
And this is The Prosecutor's Legal Briefs. Welcome back, Brett. I missed you a lot.
I missed you too, and so much happened while I was gone.
A lot happened. So the day you left, I think, was closing arguments, and a couple days, I can't remember. But anyways, I happened to be in the car, so I was able to listen to the entire closing arguments, like almost in real time, within minutes or whatever. And then a week went by. No verdict until today when you came back and they decided to surprise you. Anyways, we should probably start. Mistrial. Which just means there was a hung jury. And the jury note, so because there's no verdict, they can't talk to the jurors because usually afterwards,
it depends.
No, actually, I read that they couldn't.
Well, the judge is not releasing their names publicly because there was no verdict.
Yeah, because there was no verdict.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, and this is unique, at least to Massachusetts law, is the retrial has to happen within a year.
Right.
Because I don't think in the federal system there's a timeline.
I think there is one in the Speedy Trial Act.
Is it a year?
Yeah, I don't remember what it is. I think it's less than a year, actually. But
then it must, I guess you can waive it just like Speedy Trial.
You can.
Right?
You can.
Okay. Because I've definitely seen it outside of the time period. Yeah. But anyways, all we know really from the jury's thinking is by the note they sent to the judge, where oftentimes you'll get juries, especially after they've deliberated for a long time, saying something along the lines of, we can't reach a verdict. And then usually the judge will implore them to try harder. Sometimes they'll do something called give an Allen charge. Sometimes not, something short of an Allen charge. Depends on the judge. Sometimes judges don't like it. But the Allen charge essentially is like, you must do your job, right?
Which they did in this
case. Can't force them.
Gave an Allen charge.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. So they basically did everything, and then they came back and were like, these are deeply held beliefs. We're not going to change our minds. And based on the wording, it appears it's not like one person holdout.
So
seems like there's at least more than one person on each side.
According to Court TV, it was 10-2. We don't know exactly where they got that. I tweeted about it, and somebody was like, you're just saying that because Grant said it. And I'm like, look, I don't know y'all's weird world that y'all live in where you know people by their first name. I don't know who Grant is. Like, go back to your, strange hole that you came from. But whether it's actually 10-2 or not, I guess eventually we'll find out. The judge will talk to the jurors, and I think we'll probably give the defense and the Commonwealth the number. Because, look, it's good to have it. The judges don't like to give us the numbers. I've never really understood that. But you need to know that, because if you're the prosecutor and it was one holdout for you, that makes you question whether or not you should try that case again. Because it makes you wonder, how weak is our case? We couldn't even convince 2 people, 3 people. And same thing for the defense. I mean, if it was 10-2 or 11-1 or even 9-3, something like that. 9-3, once you get to 9-3, but 10-2. When you get in the double digits of people who are ready to convict you on all counts, you need to do some serious soul searching about whether or not you want to take a deal. Or whether or not you want to roll the dice on the next time the Commonwealth is going to find 12 people, or they're going to tighten up their presentation, or they're going to be able to refute some of the things that you brought up with better experts or more information. Let's give you an example. At one point, they were talking about cell tower pings and where Kieran's cell phone was pinging. And the officer who was testifying didn't know what sector it was in. And so the defense was able to say, oh, well, it could have been any of these places. Next time, know the sector. Because I bet the sector is going to be right over 34 Fairview. Get the sector. That's information you can get in the interim, right? I mean, these are the little things you can do in preparing for your retrial. And we often see that when we have hung juries. And that's what we tell our prosecutors to do. They dig back into the file. They're coming up with more arguments. They're strengthening their position. So if you got 10-2 to convict and you're the prosecution and you now get to hone your story, get more information, refute some of the more powerful points. I know it's the stupidest argument in the world, but get a dog expert to say these are not dog bites, right? I mean, you do that. Those are good things to do in preparation for your new trial. And it's never going to be easy. You're always going to have the Proctor problem, which has only gotten worse. He's now been relieved of duty in the wake of this hung jury. People have wondered, does that make it worse? I mean, I don't know. It's not like it was a secret that he was under investigation for his behavior. Now you can at least say he was punished, and you can have him say on the stand, you sent these text messages, right? Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. That was terrible. And you got punished for it.
I got fired for it.
Yeah, I lost my job, the job I loved. I messed up and I got punished. I mean, that's what you're going to have to do. And we'll just have to see how it goes. But I would be very surprised unless it does turn out that the initial reporting is wrong and it was a much more in favor of Karen Reed vote if the Commonwealth does not retry the case. And they've already said that they intend to retry it. So I expect that that's what they'll do.
Yeah. And those of you wondering, it will not be the same jury as next time. You'll go through the whole rigmarole again, voir dire. I mean, it is not uncommon to then retry a case and then the second jury find a unanimous verdict. So, yeah, we'll see. The thing is, it was a 2-month trial. This is an incredible drain on resources for both sides. I don't know. Is Karen Reed retaining her counsel? I assume she is.
Yeah, and look, that's the thing. We often talk about this. Obviously, you'd rather have a hung jury than be convicted, and you never know if you get a hung jury.
She is not acquitted. She is not acquitted. She is still under indictment.
Maybe the Commonwealth drops the charges. Like I said, it's better than being convicted. But for her, she spent a good chunk of change on this. Is going to spend another $500,000 or whatever on this defense. So, this is not the best news for her either. So, yeah, I mean, this is nobody
still
wanted this.
Still going to be very costly for her. And she still has it hanging over her head, right? She has not been cleared. This is not an acquittal. In order to get an acquittal, you need a unanimous not guilty from all 12 as well. And that's not what happened here.
Yeah. And I mean, look, we'll find out more in the days to come. There's not a whole lot to say about this. It's not entirely surprising. I think both sides, and there were very entrenched positions on this, both sides thought this is going to be a quick verdict. I mean, the Free Karen Reed people thought they're going to go back there, drink a Coke, and say, well, obviously she was framed, and come back out and acquit her. And the people who thought Karen Reed was guilty assumed, worst case, they come back tomorrow and have an extra lunch and convict her. And that's not what happened.
And here's the thing. I think, so we're going to continue to go through the case, and I think it's worth it because this case probably will be tried again. I mean, look, plea deals are always possible. Both sides, I think, have said that, Karen Reed has said she's not going to plea. Prosecution has spent a lot of resources. I think they will move towards a new trial. But either way, I think it's important to go through the evidence as it has been presented because it was an 8-week-long trial, incredibly long. They deliberated for a week. And there's still, I think we're not going to give it away right now, right? We already know what happened. It's a mistrial. It's a hung jury. But I think there's a lot of learnings from all of this because from the beginning, we've been like, what's happening, right? This is clearly not a conspiracy, but so many people have bought in. The media has gotten all this hype. There are people who are like, wearing matching shirts saying Free Karen Reed when they haven't even heard all of the evidence. So I think it's really important to still go through the evidence, see what the evidence is. And then I think at the end of this, we'll kind of analyze what we think happened here. I think I know what happened, but I think it is important to go through the evidence. I don't think it's a fraught exercise.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to do that, going through the evidence. I mean, I don't know. You guys heard our thoughts if you listen to part 5. I always thought there was a strong possibility she would be acquitted or have a hung jury on second-degree murder because that's a lot harder to prove. And as we go through the evidence, we're going to talk about some of the things that point away from second-degree murder. The fact that she hit him, it just seems so obvious. I mean, it seems so clear that she hit him that you felt like, or at least I felt like, they're probably going to get back there and look around and be like, okay, so she hit him, right? And everybody would say yes. And then it would be, okay, well, was she drunk? Did they show she was drunk? Did they show she knew she hit him? Did they show that she intended to leave him there in the snow, knowing that could have and likely would lead to his death? That's sort of where I thought they would be. But I mean, maybe they were.
I thought they would do the lesser included. I really did. I really thought, because it seemed so clear that she hit him. right? Like that she was the cause of his death. Even if she, and then the question is, did she intend to? Did she know who she was going on? Was she so out of her mind because she was so drunk? All of those things. But I felt like it was so clear that she was the one who made contact with him, as opposed to him being murdered, beat to death by a dog or something in a basement.
Yeah, I mean, the conspiracy really falls apart pretty fast if you just spend any time looking at it. You can argue about whether or not she hit him. You can argue about whether or not he was just really drunk and fell and hit his head. Maybe that's what happened. But the conspiracy itself, as we're going to see, if you guys are following along with our coverage, it really falls apart, particularly given a lot of the cell phone evidence, forensic evidence, that sort of thing. The idea that he made it into that house and was murdered just never really held up.
And I wanted to, I know this is all pre-episode, but one question or something someone said last time was, oh, it's really heavy to move a body. And so the police who were, covering this up could only drag John O'Keefe's body so far before they dropped it. Remember how we're talking about how they're trained, skilled killers who are practicing how to effectively kill someone with play fighting in a bar? These really strong men, and we're talking about 20 to 30. Let's just even say 5 people who are part of the conspiracy can't move one body. Yeah. 5 people can move one body, and they can move it farther than that. And then there will be drag marks, and then there will be footprints and all the other things. But if what they wanted to do was to cover this up, they could drag him farther. And so it wasn't a matter of John O'Keefe is so heavy that they couldn't drag him farther than his flagpole. And that's where they left him to die in this conspiracy. This conspiracy includes dozens of people. They could find enough people to do light as a feather, stiff as a board action and move him far away.
Or just drop him in the street.
It's just ridiculous.
If you just drop him in the street, a little bit of snow covers him and all of a sudden he gets run over by a snowplow. I mean, like I said, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves in the conspiracy theory, but
you're gonna get hot, Brett and Alice, because we haven't talked to each other for a week.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. And it's unfortunate because it just created more victims. I mean, everybody in the house is now a victim as well. So you start off with John O'Keefe.
The entire town, truly.
Yeah,
I mean, think about this when we're going through all these witnesses. We touched upon it in, one of our previous episodes, how it's not just Karen Reed or John O'Keefe's, those people and their loved ones who have been affected by this. Truly, this is the entire town of Canton. And now that there's been a hung jury, it's going to go on for probably years at this point. And hopefully the media coverage will die around this a little bit. And I don't know that there will be as much media attention the second time around because we've heard all of this before. We're not waiting, by our YouTube streamer, waiting to see what this next, conspirator says. So I'm hoping that the media stops covering it so intensely. But what doesn't change is that all of the people who testified, all of the people of Canton who have been accused of being part of this massive conspiracy, let's put it this way. Yeah, they're being accused of conspiracy. They're being accused of conspiracy of murder. They're being called murderers, all of them, right? And we're about to go through dozens more witnesses. I think that's a new perspective to have as we're going through the evidence and what their testimony is.
And the craziest thing of all, so the defense, they do this whole crazy, insane conspiracy theory with 20 different people and all these different cops. And, the taillight fairy is dropping taillights and they're taking tweezers and putting little pieces of taillight on John's shirt. And, dogs are waiting in the basement to eat him. And all these people are lying about Colin being there. And this 17-year-old kid is beating this cop to death. Then at the end, who is it that everybody says was the defense's best witness? It's the guy at the very end who builds a cannon and throws or shoots a glass at a piece of tail light. And his whole theory, and the whole theory they build around him, and the theory they send out to the jury as they're leaving, is that John was mad, threw his glass at the tail light, shattered the tail light. That's what caused tail light pieces to go everywhere. And I guess tail light dust to float and land on John, or maybe he was close enough when it happened. That's what broke the glass. Then Karen peels off and leaves, and presumably he slips and falls and hits his head and dies in the snow. So much simpler. And universally on Twitter, everybody was like, this is the guy, this is reasonable doubt. And it's like, well, if that's reasonable doubt, why did we put all these people through this nightmare of this conspiracy if at the end of the day what you were really going to argue was just a very simple sort of, it was an accident, you can't prove she hit him? Why did we do that?
Which, by the way, I think is a fantastic defense. Because of how drunk she was, right? And those of you who are asking, are they going to go? Is the defense going to go with this conspiracy again? Yeah, they think they won because she wasn't convicted, and so I do think that they'll continue with this, continuing to drag all these people through everything that they've gone through. And also remember, they've all testified. So if any of them testify again, which a large number of them will have to testify because they were first responders, they were there, they were eyewitnesses to many things that were happening. We have their previous testimony that, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be something that is going to drag on for a very long time. It's going to be something that is going to drag on for a very long time. Okay, with that, do you want to start the episode? Sorry, this is why you join Patreon, right?
Yeah. It's been a while for the public to hear that part. Okay,
Sorry.
Let's see. Now we have to act like we don't know what the outcome is.
Yeah.
and just
here we are, the best actors in the world. Yeah. I need to tone it down and not be so angry.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
Yes, I agree with you. Not guilty. I would have just laid down on the floor and given up.